Yo, what's going on, guys? It's G Miners here. Grand Overture got a 50% damage increase this season, so in this video we are going over the DPS that this weapon now deals, and in short, this is probably now the best burst DPS weapon in the entire game. Looking more specifically into the buff that it actually received, the 50% damage increase was applied to the missiles that Grand Overture shoots. These missiles are the faster alternative firing mode that this LMG has, which is why it has such a high burst DPS value. Before we get into the numbers themselves, if you guys do enjoy these DPS testing videos, make sure to drop a like and sub down below. It helps me out a ton. And with that said, let's get into it. For anyone who doesn't know exactly how this exotic works, by landing shots with the base firing mode, we are going to be charging up missiles. Then, by holding in our reload button, we're going to switch to this alternate firing mode where we pretty much just release a barrage of missiles, and that's it. All 20 of the missiles, however, fire off in around a second, so as you can imagine, this shreds through bosses. Taking it into this lost sector, we hit the final boss here for 18,279 damage with one of our base shots, and then with a missile, we hit slightly less at 17,111 damage if you add the two damage numbers we see together. Starting with this missile firing mode first, after getting 20 shots charged up, we will hit for a total damage value of 342,000, which as you can see instantly melts this boss. And then looking over at the time it takes, it is going to be 1.28 seconds for all 20 missiles to be fired, which means in this accelerated firing mode, Grand Overture has a DPS value of 267,000 damage per second. The base firing mode will be extremely similar in total damage. Once again, just for one magazine, this is going to be 20 shots, each at 18,279 damage. So the total damage output for this one mag is 365,000. However, in this slower firing mode, we are going to take 11.3 seconds to deal this damage, which brings the base DPS out to just 32.3 thousand damage per second, which isn't very good. However, the reason I wanted to mention this was because you are able to combine both firing modes to hit for over 1 million damage within around 13 seconds. If you have 20 missiles ready to go and start dealing damage with this, then go back to the base firing mode where you can deal damage slowly while also stacking up the missiles again, and then finish with one final missile barrage, you're looking at 1.05 million total damage in 13.86 seconds, which is going to be around 75.8 thousand damage per second, which competes short term with every linear fusion rifle in the game. Even if you just ended up using the faster firing method to bake bosses, this is still going to be better than things like Parasite and Fourth Horseman. Parasite hits the same boss for 90.4 thousand damage with a base shot, and this is going to be increased by 200% at Worm's Hunger times 20, which means this scales up to 271,000 damage in a single shot. This is 71,000 damage less than Grand Overture is dealing, and realistically, they are both kind of a one and done type method, so I would say Grand Overture is easily better than Parasite for both short and long-term damage. I recently tested the DPS of Fourth Horseman in a video where I compared it to the recently buffed Merciless. In that video, Fourth Horseman, even with optimal reloading and exotics, dealt slightly more damage than Grand Overture does, but it took way more time. It's kind of hard to compare things that deal damage across different time intervals, but Fourth Horseman ended up hitting for 119,000 damage per magazine, and in the time that it would have taken you to shoot off one mag and reload, even with a Hunter dodge that instantly reloads Fourth Horseman, Grand Overture would have already dealt its entire 342,000 damage missile barrage, and then you could immediately continue dealing damage in the normal firing mode. So I would say it easily beats out Fourth Horseman as well. All that said, Grand Overture is now easily one of the best burst DPS weapons in the entire game, and as I went over with the method of using both firing modes, this thing can even compete against some of the best long-term DPS weapons in Destiny as well. I'm really surprised that this thing is actually good now because it used to be absolutely trash tier, but let me know your thoughts on the weapon in the comments below. I think this weapon will definitely be the meta for baking bosses in activities that are a bit older and don't require as much total damage, but in newer activities like King's Fall and Spire of the Watcher, I'm not really sure how it's going to hold up. I do also stream a bunch over on Twitch where I run speedruns and low mans live. A link to that and my Discord server are in the description below. Anyways, that's all for this video, guys. As always, have a good one. Peace.